So, welcome everybody. We will start as usual with guided meditation, enlightenment, activation, and then we have a little talk for those who want. So, we sit comfortably and closing our eyes. Just landing on this place now. That's the beginning. And just noticing how things are rising and falling within us. Feelings, body sensations, thoughts. From morning to evening, this is going on. Something is coming and passing away. And usually we are very fascinated by this. Something is interesting. You want to follow it more, and so on. And in this moment, we just allow things to be exactly as they are. Just allow this moment to be exactly as it is. Not pushing anything away, not grabbing anything, not analyzing, no investigation, not looking for something, not fixing something, stopping all search for something. We're just here, sitting here. Just allow the moment to be as it is. I'm not interested in anything specific. And doing absolutely nothing. We can take 1 or 2 minutes to come out of meditation. So we have a question from one of you in the group, in the big group. Free will. What about free will? Considering what we are talking about here and looking for, investigating. Well, it's a big subject. It has been discussed for 2,500 years, starting with Aristotle, the great philosophers. And I don't think we should go into that philosophy area. But it's also have other big consequences for other areas in life. For instance, religion. And they have been discussed in religion as well. Theologians have been discussing this. If there is no free will, what happens to the concept of sin, which the whole religion is based upon, at least Judaism, Christianity, and Islam? In India or in Buddhism, they call it karma, a similar concept. So it comes into that also. And what about the law? Looking at criminals and criminal acts. We put people in jail. Is there no free will? Sounds quite cruel. And what about politicians? We do something and then you have forced them to resign. And leaders of sports organizations, as we have seen recently in Spain. So this notion, this concept of free will is coming into so many areas in life. It's the very basis. How is the civilization? How can we, the whole civilization is based on the idea of free will. What will be the consequences if there is no free will really? And when the philosopher Descartes, René Descartes, France, when he said, I think, therefore I am. Remember this one maybe. I think, therefore I am. It's a very strange statement. I think, therefore I am. But who is thinking? It's very strange for a philosopher of his greatness, in my view, to say such a thing, because he presupposes what he's supposed to prove. That there is someone who is creating thoughts. I think, therefore I am. And that is a crucial point here. So I'm not going to go into philosophy or religion or criminal law or quantum mechanics. With the quantum mechanics, we have another area where the free will is a little bit more loose. In classical physics seems to be some kind of order here. But when it comes to quantum mechanics, suddenly it's not so orderly anymore, statistically and so on. But this is very deep in this subject, but it presupposes all these areas, which I've now been talking about, presupposes one single thing, which they never question. I don't say never, because there are some examples. David Hume, a philosopher in the 17th century, for instance, but they have never questioned this very person who's supposed to have this free will. How can we speak about free will without not talking about the one who's supposed to have that power to have free will? Free will means simply that you can choose between A and B, for instance, to make it very simple. Free will. I have free will, so I will choose A instead of B. That is supposed to be a chooser then. Someone who is choosing. Someone who has his free will. And as we have been looking at quite much, but we can look at it again very shortly. Are you creating the thoughts rising? In this moment, the thoughts which are rising in you now, if you look at it, can you see that there's a me, some kind of person creating that thought? Whatever thought is here. Oh, he is very deep today, Christer. Whatever thought is here. Did you create that? Did you see a person creating that thought? Or was it just, did it just rise? If you look a little bit closely, you will see that it's only belief. One of 14,000 beliefs that was planted in us as a child. We are responsible for our thinking. If there's a person here, some kind of ghost, we don't see it when we look. Some kind of person, responsible me, who has the power to create thoughts. But when we look, we don't see that one. We say just thoughts arising. We could say, according to circumstances, according to situations, something needs to be solved, an issue, and so on. Suggestions how to solve it, and so on. And we don't see any person creating the thoughts. So, decisions, that is free will. Huh? Free will to choose between A and B, to put it simple. That means that, okay, there was some kind of inner discussion. If I choose A, that will be these consequences. If I choose B, that will be these consequences. So I will choose A because it has better consequences, evaluations. And what is this? We're thinking, of course. Some kind of inner discussion. It can be other things coming in as ingredients in the thinking. Memories, ambitions, intentions, other people say something, feelings, and so on. But it is thinking which makes us make a decision. And the decision making is not only a thinking process, but this decision finally made is also thought. But we just saw, I don't know if you agree with me, I hope so. You have seen it at least in the individual session if you have not changed your mind. That we don't see any personal me, any I creating thoughts. Which means, logically, that there is no I creating any decisions either. We can't see it when we look. Of course, everybody believes this on earth, that I have free will. Only some people questioning this notion, but most people believe in it because it was planted there a long time ago in us. But when we look, when we investigate in this very simple way, we see that we don't see any person creating any thoughts. So we don't see any person creating any decisions because it's also thoughts. So there is no free will. Because free will presupposes someone has it, having it. And we can't find that when we look for decisions, how it is made, how they are made. So 2,500 years of thinking about it, we run down to 10 minutes or something. I'm sorry to make a very short summary of this, but it's actually the case because we have to look at the basis of this idea of free will. That is presupposes that there is some kind of agent, some kind of me, some kind of person who has responsibility and has a power, not only as a person here, but the person has a power to create thoughts and make decisions, choosing. But when we look, we don't find it. Of course, the intellect may say, you have to look deeper. Yeah, but where? Where is this deeper? Or is this just some kind of protest from the thinking? Actually, that thought, you have to look deeper. Did you create that thought? Or was it just arising? Of course, we can speculate, say, oh, we have to look deeper. Maybe it is there somewhere. Maybe the agent is there somewhere. Yeah, but where should we look? If we question our beliefs about this chooser, and when we look, we can't find it. Everything is very easily explained by just noticing that something needs to be solved, a problem is here, some issue, and a thought is arising to solve the problem. Like in a dog or a cat. Why should we be different? A dog or a cat is hungry and goes to some place that they think that there is food. Going to the kitchen or going to the restaurant. They're also thinking, of course, to solve a problem. Yes, we are thinking in a more complex way by using language. But we're also thinking a lot without language, the whole days. And we don't believe that there's a person there. Oh, I wonder what decision I will make now, the dog thinks. It's just a decision is made according to the circumstances. It's not really true, but we can say this in this context. It was a very simple way of explaining it, but to look as deep as we can, and we will find these consequences. So what about the story there? What about other people? Well, if there is no free will in us, that we can see quite clearly, what about other people? Of course, they don't have free will also. We're not the exception. So there is no free will in your partner. Surprise. So the blaming of the other one is based on the idea that the other one has free will. But if you can see in yourself that I can't see any free will here because I can't see this agent having it, it will be the same for the partner, of course, which could make a little bit more humbleness coming to the surface because, oh, sorry, darling, he may even pardon the reaction if it came at all. If you see that there's no agent here having free will, and you see that there's no agent therefore having no free will in the partner, or a friend, or a close one, or a mother and father, we usually blame them for a lot of things, no? Relationship can be different when we see that they are not responsible, actually. When we say irresponsible, we mean in reality not responsible, not in reality responsible. But in the story, there is still responsibility happening. It's important to understand this. That it means that the consequences of the actions are still here. Even if we are not responsible for the action made or what we said and not said, the consequences are still there. They will put us in jail if we do some kind of criminal act. It's just how the movie is rolling on, how is it unfolding. So in that way, responsibility is there, but there is no one actually in reality being responsible. Any comments on this? Protests? They could be, because this is very hard nut to crack, because it has to do with the basis of whole civilization and life. It's not philosophy here. We're just investigating. We're just looking and see, oh, yeah, Lindsay says it eliminates guilt. Yes, it eliminates guilt and shame and everything which is connected to a personal me. You didn't do your homework as a child for some reason because it was much nicer to play with a friend, and you're being punished for that somehow, and you feel guilt and shame maybe. But that was no chooser. The idea of, oh, I have to go in now and do my homework, it didn't arise in you as a child at that moment. It's just an example, of course. It didn't arise. The playing was going on with your friend. You have a fantastic time together. There was no remembrance about the homework that should be done. Oh, it was. Maybe the thought rose in you. But I have to stop. Sorry, I have to go. I have to do the homework. Then that thought was arising, and you went home and did it. It's all automatic here, in that sense. We're not responsible for what thoughts are coming, so we're not responsible for if the thoughts are not coming. It just happens the way it happens. Things are just happening by itself, seemingly according to circumstances, you could say. Seemingly. So it's true that guilt and everything else which is connected to very uncomfortable feelings to the child, or in adults, of course, they're actually based on the wrong idea that there's someone here who could choose differently, to behave differently, to make another action, or to say something, or not say something. It just happens by itself. And this expression, slip of the tongue, it's a slip of the tongue. We say something that we have not actually thought about before, it just comes out. It's one example of this automatic happen. But in this case, slip of the tongue, we see quite clearly that there was no preparation for saying this. It just came by itself. But otherwise, we think that there is a preparation, that I am creating the thoughts, and then I start to talk. But there's no one creating any thoughts, and there's no one talking. Of course. I mean, if there is no agent having power to create thoughts or make decisions, who's going to talk then? Is there a talker suddenly popping up from nowhere? No. That's not me at all. creating any thoughts, making any decisions, controlling anything, doing anything. We have been looking at it before in quite detail. So the free will, yeah, it's a little bit of arrogance, you could say. Well, why should we have free will? It's just a thought. And the whole civilization, all religions, and all the law is based on it. The relationship to other people is based on it. Bad relationship to other people is really based on it. And our bringing up the children is also based on it. It comes in everywhere. But how is this moment experienced when there is no personal me? Maybe you can feel some freedom in it. Relaxation of the body. You don't have to do anything more in life. Can be quite relieving. So, someone wants to say something?
I do.
Yes,
I was
Kathy.
I was going to ask about, when you give instructions for meditation, I was going to ask, well, who are you instructing? If I don't have if stuff is just coming and going, and who are you telling to do absolutely nothing? But then I thought, well, maybe you're sort of indirectly instructing, the one who thinks it's doing something to settle the false belief. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, now you're relieving my secret here. Because talking about freedom is impossible. It's simply impossible. When we open our mouths to talk about freedom, enlightenment, or whatever you call it, it's just we are going down the top of the mountain already, just with the first step going down. But in order to bring people along, in order to get people who are interested in this, who feel the longing for freedom, to help them somehow, help them. We are using instructions for pedagogic reasons only. And it works. It works. If you come to the dentist and the dentist say to you, okay, open your mouth. Well, of course you can say to them, okay, wait. Who is now going to open the mouth here? Are you telling me that there is a belief that you have in you, that there is some kind of me here who is going to have the power to open the mouth? But I'm not sure that there is someone like that. There will be very, very expensive bill because there will be some time for discussion this philosophical subject instead of just open the mouth. So we don't usually at least, we don't start that philosophical discussion. We just open the mouth because we want something fixed or at least checked. So in this case, of course, open the mouth presupposes there is someone who can open the mouth. And if the dentist is an enlightened one, he knows or she knows that this is just nonsense because there is no one who can open the mouth in the first place. But he or she will say it, and what happens? The guy is open the mouth. Huh? The person is allowing the moment to be as it is. Although who is going to allow it to be as it is? It is already how it is. It's already allowed in the way. Not be interested in anything. Who's going to be interested in nothing? Total nonsense. Huh? And now do absolutely nothing. Who's going to do nothing? I don't know if you can have any more group sessions now. I think we can, because it works because it is instructions. And of course, we can always analyze everything, including the instructions for non-doing meditation. But it doesn't lead anywhere. But if its instructions are followed, because we're not talking to me. I don't tell you that now you're going to allow the moment to be as it is. I'm actually not talking to you, so to speak. I'm talking to the mind, my body, which has a label on it. Håkan, Amanda, Fritz, Oleg, Egle. Huh? It's a mind-body system. It's like telling the dog, go to sleep, and he will go to sleep. Because he used to have that word, this sound. He doesn't understand anything, but the go to sleep sound he knows. So he goes to sleep. Maybe. These instructions coming to this body mind there. And it's working. Of course, there's no one allowing anything. There's no one not interested in anything. There's no one doing nothing. But instructions works. That is a beautiful thing with it. Then later on this advanced course that we have started today, obviously, then we can see a little bit more that, oh, this is actually not a truth here. He's not speaking the truth, Christer. No. Every time the mouth is open here, there's a lot of ignorance coming out. But not total ignorance, but at least a concession to the truth, you could say. No? It's not really the truth coming out. I know what Ramana Maharshi talked about this. He said that if I would say how it is, no one will come. He would say like this, it's only the self. Uh-huh. Can you say something more? It's only the self. How many will be there after half an hour? So there's some kind of choice here. Either you just shut up, which is very good, actually. Silence is the best teacher, actually. Or if people want you to say something, you have to go a little bit down from the top of the mountain. And when you do that, you don't speak the whole truth, actually. You have to make a little bit sacrifice of the total truth and say something which can make people along, having your hand, come up here, come. I can guide you up here. You think you are on the way up to the mountain. You're actually standing beside me on the top of the mountain already. We are all standing there, have never been anywhere else. And there's no one standing a little bit higher than the other one. No, we are standing on the same level, everybody. But people think that they are on the way up. So to meet them, we take our hand down and, so to speak, guide. The truth is guiding, of course. How can I guide if there's no one here? So the truth is guiding by having this hand and bring up the person. This is how it is. I had no idea. I remember this also. I've been here before. Or whatever way it is expressed. I don't know if that is an answer for you, Kathy. Or she went away.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was actually just going to put something in the chat. I saw this quote from Ramana Maharshi yesterday. It says, "So long as the ego lasts, effort is necessary. When the ego ceases to exist, actions become spontaneous." So then I thought, as long as I think I'm a person, then instructions are necessary. Effort is necessary. And maybe when that belief, when it goes, then we can just sit here in silence. But I'm not there yet.
When it comes to Ramana Maharshi, it's a little bit tricky because people were not having any audio tapes at that time. They tried once, but it didn't work so good. He was just silence half an hour. So it didn't work so good, so they skipped it. So we don't have any recordings from him, only film without sound. So we don't know what he actually said. And he didn't write down anything. Just few notes, nothing else. He didn't write any books. So what we have is actually people writing down things in Tamil, on piece of paper. Then they become some kind of books, his statements, what he really said. And these translations to English can be a little bit strange sometimes. Because there is no effort really. Even the effort, seemingly effort, is effortless. And as what did you say more, Kathy? As long as the ego is there, can you just repeat what you said?
Yeah, the quote is, so long as the ego lasts, effort is necessary. When the ego ceases to exist, actions become spontaneous.
Yeah, but there is no ego. And he knew that. He knew that. Everything is happening by itself, totally effortless. And seemingly effort is also effortless. And how can there be an ego that doesn't exist? The belief, maybe it means then, okay? The belief in an ego as a doer, thinker, decider, controller, and so on. As long as that belief is there, effort is necessary. No, really, actually not. And I'm totally convinced that, of course, he saw this. Because if everything is the ocean, and the ocean is spontaneous, it doesn't become spontaneous because the belief in me is seen to be untrue. It's still the ocean. We are already the ocean. So what we call the path, or things that needs to be done to get it, is just the ocean already showing itself as what we call a path. There is no path. There is no effort. It's just oneness showing itself as this in the moment. Nothing leads to something else. It's just a discovery what is already here and has always been. There is only enlightenment. There is only one reality showing itself as what is in the moment. It may seem to be an effort. It can be felt as an effort, but that seemingly effort is also the ocean showing itself as a seemingly effort. And the feeling of effort is also the ocean showing itself as an effort. It's already the ocean. Already. That's why Adyashanti says, no? If everything is one, why should you go? Why should you go to reach it? So a little bit, I've heard these kind of things before when it comes to Ramana Maharshi. He says something that, no, he couldn't have said this. But also, it's a good question actually, Cassie, because teachers, that's why I almost never comment on what teachers say, because teachers are talking to a special group of people. And they are addressing that group which is in front of them. And it is for that group that this saying is relevant, but not for everyone else. And usually there's also some person stating a question to the teacher in front of the group. And the answer which is coming from the teacher is meant for that one only, not for everybody else. But we think that what he says or she says is relevant for me, although I have not asked any question. So very much misunderstanding and confusion in this. I know that Nisargadatta Maharaj, for instance, when he had a lot of Western so-called seekers around him, and then they went with him to an Indian city, another city in Bombay, and he started to talk about karma and reincarnation the whole night. And he had said to the Western seekers that there is no karma, there is no reincarnation, of course. There's who's going to have karma? He says nobody there, and of course, and so on, so on. So they were very confused. So when they came home again to Bombay, that was the name that time, they asked him, "But what are you talking?" "Yeah, but I have to talk in their language, otherwise they wouldn't understand what I was talking about." So we have to be a little bit careful when we take out one statement in this way and think it says something true, generalized, so to speak. It's a very good point, Kathy, because this is happening very often. That's why I usually never comment on it, because we have to know the context in which it was said. And also, is it a translation maybe? And who was translating it? How much knowledge and understanding had the translator? Was he or she enlightened? I mean, how can you translate something of what an enlightened person says if you don't enlighten yourself? It's a very big risk that you're misunderstanding something. And you can see it quite often. But it doesn't matter so much now. The most important is to see that there is actually no one having any free will. But of course, it has to be seen. It's not to talk about in this way. It doesn't help. Huh? But we are using all these tools that we have and many others, and especially individual sessions, to come to that place, to see that actually I have been thinking wrongly, probably. And that openness in itself, even if it's just intellectual at the start, that's very good. To at least be open for it. For most people on earth are not open for it at all, of course. Any comments on this, Cassie, or was it okay?
It's very okay. Just one last comment.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of how Tony Parsons says, it's just what's happening. And so is it correct to say that this belief in a separate personal me arose on itself and now it's starting to dissolve on itself 50 years later, and there's no one doing that. It's just what's happening?
Yeah, exactly. So this is the one thing I want to talk about in another session, but I can just mention it now. And that is to understand that the ocean is everything, okay? So the reality is the ocean in the metaphor. So if reality is one, which it is, it means that the one reality is responsible, you could say, for everything arising. It's responsible for everything arising. There's only one reality showing itself as what is in the moment, including ignorant thoughts. So even the idea of me as a doer, thinker, decider, guilty and shame, full of shame, this is also the ocean showing itself as that wave in the moment. So what is happening really then? Well, somehow another wave comes questioning this thought. Is it really true? And what we do here in individual sessions is to question the truth of these beliefs that we have. So truth and reality is not the same. It's quite much misunderstood this. We think that reality and truth is the same. It's not, of course. In Astavakra Gita, if you know that, Astavakra was an Indian mystic and he wrote this Astavakra Gita. They think maybe he did, huh? Or not. But he says in one statement, he says, I am the suffering too. Huh? I am the suffering too. Very perplexed when I read this for the first time. But this is, of course, what it means. Because if everything is just one, the oneness is also showing itself as suffering. But that is not the truth. But this is the one reality showing itself as that. And our task here is to find out what is true in all this which is arising. Even if what is rising by itself, as you say. So the journey, so to speak, the discovery journey to find out that our nature is actually not suffering, but our nature is actually true love, unconditional love. The ocean is total love. That is to find out that this is true. Suffering is not true. But the suffering experience is real. Anything more, Cassie, there? No? Okay, good. I think Floyd said something. I didn't know you were here even. Isn't it better to sit at Raman Ashram in silence, to absorb his essence? Of course, there is nobody who can sit. Well, I, we have to use the words we have, you know. It's not easy to be, so to speak, free and then to start to use the words in terms of the freedom, what we have seen, who sees it, huh? So instead of say the body here that seems to be here is actually not here. This body has an experience of hunger. You know, you're getting very complicated to live in normal life with other people if we cannot use the same grammar as before. So we have to use the word I, and I also do it, as you maybe noticed. Use the word I or you and we and so on, because it's just a way of communicating to each other. But of course, in the freedom state, you know, there's nothing behind it. But it doesn't matter. It's just a way of communication. So what you say also, isn't it better to sit at Ramana Ashram in silence? Yes, that's what I did 3 years. And we're going to have a course in Tiruvannamalai. I hope it will be in January 2024. We're going to have a course in Tiruvannamalai. And then we will go to Ramana Ashram every day. Definitely. Everybody's welcome. And of course, when he says, I think he said that, he says, silence is the best teacher, is really true. And I speak about my own experience, of course. It is in the silence that the insights are made. And they are just coming from nowhere, seemingly. It's just an understanding which is not intellectual. It's just a rise. Oh, but this is how it is, of course. Of course. It's just a sudden insight which is not intellectual. That's why this Danish mystic Sunyata, living in Rishikesh, he created this new English word, inner standing. I don't think it's a inner word, but it's an English word, but he created it just to focus, to stress that it's not an understanding by the intellect. It's an inner standing. Quite a good word, actually. Anything else? So I can't say everybody's happy because who's gonna be happy? So you know what? Should we just be silent, maybe?
These mistranslations you mentioned,
Yeah.
That's how religions happen.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Christ was not Christian, and Buddha was not a Buddhist. I'm not criticizing religion generally. People have to draw their own conclusions of what is said here. Here, when, so to speak, this guy is talking, is just describing, it's always the same. describing how it looks from the top of the mountain. It's only what is doing here, nothing else. Describing how it looks from the top of the mountain. It's not looking as a perspective, because perspective can be okay, but I have another perspective. No, the truth, which is not the perspective. And everyone finds the same truth when they look. They can speak about in different ways. They can also talk about different aspects of it, because not anyone has seen all the aspects of the truth, because it's infinite seemingly. So they can speak about things that are all really speaking about the same thing here. Can be felt like that. But we're just gone into different rooms, but it's in the same room. It's the same truth castle. Some people have seen many aspects of the truth. And some people have said, we haven't seen the same, but it's still the same truth. Okay. So we see each other tomorrow for those who want. And we have also today presented the schedule for the courses, 9 courses, which has been planned now in different parts of the world. And you can see it on the chat, and we will talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. And the 2 courses which is coming now, the online course, is only 1 place left, otherwise it's full. And the course in Goa is full already. But we have waiting list for these courses also. If someone would have to cancel for some reason, you can be put on the waiting list. And Lindsay, I will talk to you later, because because of the time change. Okay, let's take it. Because of the time change, it's not so easy for Americans. When I may say Americans, I mean Canadians and American and US citizens. It's not so easy to join the online course, because it's done from India. So because I will be in India, we will be in India when we have this online course. So the time difference will be huge. So I will come back to you, Lindsay, about it, having another option for you. Yeah. Okay. We can speak more about the online course tomorrow then. I see that Egli has something here. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's talk about more tomorrow then, Egli. We take it more generally then. Maybe we can just close with a few minutes in silence.